She doesn't test you because she wants to play games. She tests you because she wants to feel safe. She needs to know that your presence isn't temporary, that your words won't collapse the moment she shows her insecurities. You call it mixed signals. She calls it self-protection. Psychology says women test not to manipulate, but to measure. They want to see how you handle their silence, their distance, their moods. Because anyone can love them when they're soft, but not everyone can love them when they're guarded. And deep down, she's not testing your patience. She's testing your consistency to see if you're the calm that stays or the storm that leaves. Part number 1. The subconscious fear of repetition. She's not testing you to break you. She's testing to see if you'll repeat the pattern that broke her before. Every woman who tests emotionally has lived through disappointment. Psychology calls it trauma repetition. The unconscious need to protect oneself by anticipating pain. She's been promised forever by men who left halfway. She's seen sweet words turn sharp, and she's learned that not everyone who says, "I care," actually stays when things get real. So when she tests you, when she pulls back, when she goes quiet, it's not about control, it's about confirmation. She's asking in silence, "Will you still be here when I'm not easy to love?" And your reaction in those moments tells her everything. If you rush to anger, she sees danger. If you respond with calm, she sees safety. It's not a game, it's self-preservation. Part number 2. The emotional mirror. When she withdraws, she's not rejecting you. She's reflecting your energy back to you. Psychology calls this attachment mirroring, a subconscious way of revealing truth through behavior rather than words. When she feels your distance, she mirrors it, not to manipulate, but to test emotional reciprocity. She wants to see if you notice, if you care, if you match her vulnerability. Because anyone can chase, but not everyone can connect. Her test isn't about your reaction time, it's about your emotional depth. She's trying to see whether you understand the quiet signals, the sighs, the pauses, the sudden shift in tone, because that's where real intimacy lives, in the moments between words. She doesn't need grand gestures, she needs emotional awareness, and when you fail to notice, her heart quietly closes one more door. Part number 3. The patience evaluation. She delays commitment not to play hard to get, but to see how you act when you don't get what you want immediately. Psychology calls this delayed gratification testing, a natural instinct to assess emotional maturity. She knows that patience reveals more truth than promises. When she doesn't reply right away, or when she asks for space, she's not trying to push you away. She's watching how you handle waiting. Do you panic, accuse, withdraw, or do you stay grounded, secure in yourself? She's testing your emotional regulation, because commitment requires calmness, not chaos. If you can remain stable in uncertainty, she'll start to trust that you can handle her storms. But if your patience breaks under delay, she'll see it as a preview of future conflict. Her silence isn't punishment, it's observation. Part number 4. The boundaries test. When she says no or sets limits, she's not being cold. She's checking if you respect her edges. Psychology calls this boundary testing, a behavior rooted in emotional safety. She wants to know if you value her comfort more than your desire. The way you react when she pulls back physically or emotionally tells her everything she needs to know. If you guilt trip her, push harder, or withdraw affection, she learns that your love is conditional. But if you stay calm, give space, and maintain respect, she learns that your love is mature. She is not just seeing if you all cross the line, she is seeing if you can stand on your side without resentment. Because for her, boundaries are not barriers, they're blueprints for trust. The men who fail this test don't fail because they're unkind. They fail because they think love is ownership, not choice. Part number 5. The consistency check. She tests with time, because time always reveals what intention hides. Psychology calls this temporal testing, the slow unveiling of truth through repetition. She doesn't believe words anymore because words once felt real and still broke her. So now, she watches patterns. Do you text only when you're bored, or do you check in when she's quiet? Do your actions match your declarations when nobody's watching? Consistency is the ultimate test because it's the language of safety. When you keep showing up not perfectly, but honestly, she starts to exhale. But the moment your rhythm falters, she retreats. Not to punish, but to protect. Because she knows inconsistency feels like emotional whiplash, and she refuses to relive that cycle again. Part number 6. The vulnerability trial. She tests you with softness to see if you'll treat her vulnerability as power or weakness. Psychology calls this emotional exposure testing, the act of revealing small pieces of truth to measure emotional safety. She tells you a story about her past, mentions an insecurity, shares a fear, and then she watches. Not for sympathy, but for sincerity. Do you dismiss it, joke about it, or hold space for it? Your response teaches her how safe her soul is around you. If she feels seen, she'll open further. If she feels judged, she'll close completely. Because she has learned that love isn't proven through words, it is proven through presence. And when you hold her emotions with calm hands, that's when her tests begin to fade, replaced by trust. Part number 7. The argument assessment. She watches how you handle conflict, because that's where love's truth is revealed. Psychology calls this conflict response testing, the measurement of emotional resilience. During disagreements, she's not only listening to your words, she's observing your tone, your patience, your control. Do you shut down, raise your voice, deflect, or communicate? She tests by pushing small boundaries during heated moments, not to create drama, but to see if you can stay emotionally stable. Because love without communication is chaos, and she refuses to commit to someone who can't hold peace during fire. When you choose calm over control, empathy over ego, she sees strength, not softness. And that's when she starts to trust that you can protect not just her body, but her heart. Part number 8. The emotional availability test. She doesn't test how much you talk, she tests how deeply you listen. Psychology calls this empathic engagement testing, where she measures connection through your presence, not your performance. She wants to see if you can sit in silence without discomfort, if you can hear her without rushing to fix her. Because emotional availability isn't about words, it's about attention. When she shares something small and you remember, when she feels seen without needing to explain, that's when her guard lowers. But when she senses distraction or detachment, she knows she's safer alone. Her tests are quiet, invisible to most men, but to the right man, they're invitations, not obstacles. Part number 9. The emotional endurance test. She needs to know if you will love her on the days she forgets how to love herself. Psychology calls this emotional endurance testing, a subconscious evaluation of your ability to stay through her self-doubt. She wants to see how you respond when she's moody, withdrawn, or distant, because that's when love is tested. If you shame her for being too much or too complicated, she'll pull away for good. But if you respond with understanding, with calm energy, instead of correction, she begins to believe you. She's not looking for perfection, she's looking for presence. Part number 10. The final test. The surrender. When she finally stops testing you, that's when she's already chosen you. Psychology calls this emotional surrender, the point where trust outweighs fear. She no longer needs to provoke reassurance, because your actions have become her proof. The tests stop not because you passed them all perfectly, but because she finally feels seen, understood, and safe. That's the ultimate win, not in convincing her to trust, but in earning it through consistency, calm, and care. Because a woman's tests are not walls, they're invitations to build a foundation stronger than her fears. So the next time you feel tested, don't see it as resistance, see it as an opportunity to show her that you're different, that your presence isn't a promise, it's proof. Because when a woman tests you, she's not trying to push you away, she's trying to see if you'll stay when it's not easy. And when you do, that's when love finally begins to feel safe again.